Hey, it's me again. I feel like I'm showing up more, and when I say that, I feel like I'm showing up more for myself when I say that, because the more we give back to ourselves, the more we're able to give to others. So just like these past few days have been super, super powerful, reflective, and I feel really good about where I'm at in my life and in my journey and what has come up for me. So I'm outside. I am enjoying a walk with Buddy. I'm on the waterfront. I was looking back at how in my life I had different experiences, and I know what I really enjoyed. When I lived in Naples, Italy, for example, this is the best example I can give you, that I lived near the waterfront in the Bay of Naples. So that when I even just went out on the terrace of my what was kind of like a penthouse apartment, I could see, like, when the sailboats were out doing their little regattas, and as I was walking over here this afternoon, I was looking out and I was going, wow. Off in the distance over here, I don't know if you can see it, but there was a whole grouping of sailboats, and it just kind of brought back a little bit of a memory to when I was living that other life. And I'd say the walk down here to the waterfront is probably a little longer than it was when I lived in Naples, because I could walk to the waterfront seashore just like I can here. And that is something for me that was very important when I was searching for my home, because I love to be near the water. I can't explain it. Not everybody can relate. Some people like to be in the mountains. They like to be up higher, elevated. I think it's all in our vibration and what it is we need at the time in our lives. I love to go to the mountains. I'd love to go skiing again. It's been years, but at the same time, if it never happens, I'm not going to be heartbroken. It's more like it would be more of a problem if I wasn't near the water. Vitamin C, right? Ooh, it is windy, by the way. And so I was kind of just sitting there going, yeah, I remember that life. I was really blessed for where I was living and what I was exposed to and my experiences back then. But I don't cry over it. I don't yearn to live that same life, because I've noticed how far my life has come. It's interesting because with this realization, even just discussing this, and the whole conflict resolution and compromise that comes up in all of us at any point, whether it's with yourself, which is where it all is originating, or with another person, conflict comes up because something feels uncomfortable. It's the discomfort within us that creates the internal conflict. And typically, we don't even realize how we project it upon others. When we have a conflict within us, that conflict comes out in every relationship and encounter that we're having. So if I turn around and I start out my day and I'm in a bad mood because, I didn't get up early enough, I didn't get my practice started soon enough, I feel like my day is delayed and I'm not accomplishing as much as I want to be doing, well, that's an internal conflict. So if I keep on encountering more conflict around me, instead of shifting my brain, my thinking, my thoughts, my way of looking at it, instead of saying, which is what I try to do, well, I must have needed the extra sleep, I must be meant to take it a little bit slower and easier, it's okay. But to have that patience, that mercy, that kindness within myself first, so that I can extend it to others. Again, like I put out this morning, it's when I'm able to give to myself, I am able to give to others. I am more available to give to others. So when I turn around and I start my day and I take that moment, can y'all hear me good? Well, when I take that moment to check in, I'm in a better position to serve others when I know where I'm coming from. Because where I'm coming from is how everybody else is showing up to me. It's not just like, oh, look, why is this happening? Well, I gotta check me first. I have to give myself a little bit of a, hey, boost, shift the vibration, whatever it is. And so, for example, going back to reflecting upon where I've been and where I am in my life, it causes me to go, do I crave that to the point where I don't look at what I have and how far I've come and how that was serving me through my experiences and my journey? And that the compromise in everything isn't really a compromise. Compromise is just adapting. And sometimes the word compromise for people is a trigger. I've known many people have had these conversations like, I'm not going to compromise. Like total attitude, which is all in the ego, because, that's a word. I'm not compromising. I'm not going to compromise my integrity. I'm not going to compromise my being, my soul. It can be used in so many different ways, but it depends on where you're coming from and how it's applied to your life. We can shift how we communicate by not allowing certain words to trigger us and upset us, and to look at them in different ways, but also to learn a different language, a different way to communicate and discuss, civilized, of course. But the word compromise, to me, when I really break it down, it's really adaptability, it's flexibility, it's resilience. Because when we have resilience enough to where we don't allow things to get us upset, we just adapt to the situation, we allow ourselves to mold and become like a chameleon and just go with whatever is instead of trying to resist it, because resistance is futile. And what ends up happening is that when we resist something, it persists. You hear all these little things, but it's the truth, it's the reality, that when you dislike something, you're dissing the like. Hello, I love words. This is what I like to play with, because if you diss something that dislike, then you're bringing just as much attention to it as you would like. I was discussing last night about how I grew up with kind of a little bit more of an open mentality of asking for what it is you desire. And there are a lot of people, again, it comes back to the self-worth and the value of yourself, that if you're unable to ask for what it is you want, it's a reflection of feeling unworthy of getting it. And I grew up and I learned that if you extend yourself, why not ask? It never hurts to ask. It doesn't hurt anybody. Unless you have a strong will and ego, because, hey, nobody's going to turn me down if I don't ask. I've got control. If I don't ask, I don't get rejected in whatever form that takes. So growing up, learning to ask for something that I desired, but I wasn't always good at asking for what I desired. It was more like just thinking outside the box, having a little bit more flexibility in my menu, right? Not being restricted or confined to, look, here's a menu, these are your only choices. And instead asking for something outside of that box, which is really what life is about, is stepping into the possibilities that are endless and infinite. We only are capable of what our mind is giving us as credit. The limits and the belief systems are all locked up in here. And so going back to that, I found it intriguing. I was in a relationship and the person was questioning why I couldn't ask for something that was right there in front of me. And I was saving myself time, I was saving myself energy, and I was fixated and focused on what it is that I did desire, as opposed to having to do that process of elimination, which many of us are constantly doing. What do you want? Well, I don't want this and I don't want that. Well, the more you're focusing on the don't, you're bringing it to you, and so therefore, why not focus on what you do want? Change the dialogue. Change the dialogue for yourself, because then you'll be able to show up better for yourself. You'll be able to have what it is you desire, as opposed to constantly seeing what it is you don't want, right? I'm getting a little bit of wind going on in here. Because that's, again, it's that focus. It really is crystal clear focus. If you can sit down and make it a habit to write your list of whatever it is you don't want, if you have to use that as your benchmark, and then turn around and write out next to it, well, if I don't want that, what do I want that's the contrary? So you challenge yourself. You have to challenge, because that's a conflict in the mind. The conflict and the resolution comes into play when you can sit and confront it. And see, now confrontation, we don't like confrontation now, do we? We're afraid of confrontation. Whether it's within ourselves, because we avoid sitting in meditation, for example, or we don't want to really be vulnerable enough to get to know ourselves. We'd rather be around a bunch of other people who make us feel better about ourselves, because when we're by ourselves, we don't want to be alone. No, don't leave me alone with myself. I'm cray-cray, right? And so this confrontation, the word confrontation is another trigger for a lot of people. It hasn't always been easy for me either. I used to be very much, it was easier for me to confront somebody, but I didn't necessarily like to be confronted. See, isn't it interesting how you can do unto others what you don't want done unto you? But so you got to twist it around and go, okay, maybe I need to take a step back and confront whatever it is inside of me that doesn't want to deal with that coming at me. Because if you're dishing it out, chances are you might want to reflect back on whatever it is you're dishing out and confronting. Because it's usually an internal projection that we're throwing out. So confrontation is huge in growth. And I'm using the word confrontation, but I really don't necessarily think that we always have to use that as a negative. The reality of confrontation is it's opening up dialogue. It's having conscious communication. It's being vulnerable and having the courage to speak up and show yourself that I'm worthy enough to speak up and confront externally what is internally coming at me. Can you hear the bird? So it's an osprey. There's like several osprey nests along this path. And you know what, Sophie? That is so true. It is abrasive like a polishing stone. I swear, it's kind of cool when you think about it. The more we work on ourselves and we put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, the more we grow and evolve. It might have been uncomfortable asking the question, asking for what you wanted, but then when you got it, it was like, voila, yay, let's celebrate. I mean, how many times have you done that? And you realize, oh my gosh, that really wasn't so hard. Why didn't I do it before? Why didn't I ask before? Why didn't I, it's a courage muscle. And you may have ever heard me say that when you step out of your comfort zone, you create your own internal reward system by the happy hormones that get released as a result of stepping out and doing something different. You put yourself in that vulnerable, courageous position and you exercise that muscle, and you get something beautiful in return, right? Hi, can I give you a hug? Hey, that's a double one, because number one, maybe you're asking a stranger that looks huggable and you just want to hug them. And then not only have you stepped out of your comfort zone, you get a hug, which is full of oxytocin. I think it's like you got to hold it for at least 30 seconds. Some people, that's hard. Hugs are really special. And hugs are healing, because you're bringing the hearts together, right? And we all want to be loved, and we all want to be treated as equal and one. And so just sometimes, for me, I'm happy if I smile and somebody else smiles back, and maybe some people tell me you need to smile more, and I'm like, you don't see me all day. But I mostly, if I'm pensive, if I'm really inside myself, maybe I need to try to talk myself into smiling more. I don't know. Do I not smile enough? I don't know. But see, that's sometimes also a reflection of the other person now, isn't it? So if someone's telling you should smile more, is that because you're not smiling enough, or is it because maybe it makes them feel uncomfortable? See? And so what we do when we try to help someone or give advice, we're telling them what we want to make us feel comfortable, because we can't sit with discomfort and recognize that it has nothing to do with what the other person is doing, but everything to do with what's going on in that conflicted mind. And so again, if you feel uncomfortable, I thank you, Sophie. If you feel uncomfortable around somebody for whatever reason, the first question you should have is, what is it about this trying to tell me about myself? What is the conflict within me trying to teach me? What is coming up for healing? And why can't I be comfortable even in the discomfort? I'm going to tell you, that's where I've grown the most, is sitting with the most uncomfortable. I can't handle this! Please. You know, my baby heart attacks, as Tom would call them. Like, okay, I'll handle it. I'll deal with it. It's all perfect. You know, the discomfort is where we grow the most. And that's why I've said before how whenever something uncomfortable is around the bend, it's like I can't explain it, but energetically I'm like, I feel something's just off balance, and I have to remind myself, get excited because something big is about to happen, and don't give up before the miracle. So I have to remind myself, even so, that when there's a rub, that polishing stone, right? When there's a rub, a discomfort, that means big growth and changes around the corner if you're not already feeling them and experiencing them. It's coming in vibrationally on that energetic level to remind you that shifts are happening. You know, shift happens. Shifts are happening, and while they're happening, you're feeling them in the mind first, and the body reflecting the mind, because that's really how it works. It's not that emotions happen in the body. They get stored in the body as a result of the mind. And this is, I'm constantly working on my physical body because my mind, it was so bad growing up. I'm hypercritical as a little girl, never feeling good enough, never feeling like I had enough, because I felt like I was things held me back. I felt my parents didn't give me enough attention when I needed it. It's the lack of whatever it was that my inner child needed, that I held on to a lot of stuff. You know, I have stomach digestion issues growing up. My stomach issues were more like, like holding on to emotions, not confronting them, not healing through the feeling, not feeling fully, because, you're not supposed to feel bad, you're not supposed to cry, or if you cry, you're going to make yourself sick, which I was really good at doing, by the way. And I didn't confront that back then because I didn't know any better. We don't know what we don't know until we know it. And then when we do, we can't say, oh, I wish I knew better, because that's not going to change anything. That's not going to take it back, and that doesn't solve. In fact, we need to change the dialogue from what's not working to what's working, or where's the solution, or how can I find a better way. And a lot of the drama out there is really people regurgitating the same victimhood stories and going over how, oh my gosh, this happened to me, and how dare that person, or why isn't my life a certain way? It's like, well, what's good about it? Always remind yourself, and that's what I try to do. I am so grateful. I have so much to be grateful for. I wake up in the morning, I have my breath. That is like the most important thing right there. I'm able to get out of bed. I have 2 legs, I have 2 arms, I have all my fingers and my digits. I have the sight, I can hear, I can taste, I can smell. What else? Just that alone to be grateful for, that I'm here living in this existence and constantly getting to have a different experience on a daily basis, because I choose today's going to be a great day. It's always going to be a great day, because whether it may have some bumps in the road, it's bringing me along the way. I'm just traversing the path, the journey. I'm enjoying it. And so this month, it's Valentine's month, right? We got 2 days here. Wednesday is Valentine's Day. It's hard to believe, isn't it? And it's the first time I've been with somebody on a Valentine's Day, so it's extra special. I've had really weird relationships in my past, and that's one of my biggest gratitudes right there, is just the beauty of another person who is so special to me and dear. And so relationships, it's Valentine's month. It's ironic because relationship has been coming up a lot over this past, couple weeks. I don't know if y'all have been noticing. Actually, it's probably been longer, but relationships where we grow the most. That's really been my big takeaway, and I've known that because I've known for a long time that it doesn't matter how much work you've done on yourself. It's when you actually apply it and integrate it in with another person, whether it's friends, family, or a lover. It doesn't really matter who it is. It's always going to be through conversing and interacting with others, period. And so, I really am especially grateful, and I witness how much change has happened for myself, for Tom, to witness the beauty in no matter what's happened, the big life changes. I mean, you move, that's a total disruption in your life just alone. And then to move in with somebody else when you're used to being single, I was really applauding that this morning with gratitude, because I've seen such a beautiful growth in this man, and hopefully he doesn't mind me sharing this, but I recognize how difficult. Look at the birds. I love it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 white birds. I've been seeing 11 a lot lately. Actually, repetitive numbers, period. Because when I was walking, I looked down and it was 444. There's my 11 again, right? I was truly applauding him this morning because I was like, do you realize you've really done well as far as how much change you've gone through? I mean, you just moved all the way over here. You got rid of all your stuff. You moved in with somebody you don't even know. You've adjusted really, really well. I don't know if any of you saw us live this morning. I mean, I know what I've had to also for myself adapt and overcome. That's huge transformation. That's huge resilience. That's huge vulnerability and courage. If you know anybody who's going through major life changes or has, or even yourself, be patient, be kind. Don't allow the inner negative self-talk. Remind yourself, look at me. Look how far I've come. Remind the other person. Celebrate yourself. I'm telling you, that's huge when you do that. And so when you're in those kind of environments, it's like, whoa, how am I going to handle this? And how do I communicate that maybe I would like things a certain way? Or how can we find a solution that is, it's not a compromise, it's an adaptability, it's a flexibility, it's a resilience. It's how can we make this better? How can we well, I already know how we could fix the kitchen. The kitchen would be ideal if it were bigger, and I've already had that vision because my house is small, and I bought it because I knew it was a fixer-upper. And like I said the other day about certain people coming into my life, I'm telling you, I smudged, and those people disappeared. So this is another story I'm just going to trail off into. People may think I'm so funny, and Kundalini Yoga has been my true healing, and the mantras really do work, by the way. So I was smudging not only my main house, but my back house, and I'm smudging. The reason I did it was because of the weirdness with all the people that had come in and out of my house. I had the one guy who totally went off on me, and that I didn't even talk about that story because it's not really worth it. I had another guy, the roofer. I had another guy who was supposed to do work who left all his tools just after I smudged. Not a one of them came back. Never heard of him again. I even reached out and said, hey, have you seen so-and-so? I tried to pay him. I mean, he left his tool. Nope, I've seen him. I've heard from him. We've talked. Don't know why he hasn't returned my call, but I was like, okay, I'm not gonna force anything on anybody. I tried a few times, not worth it. But I literally went through and I was chanting mantra. I was chanting Adgure Namah, Jugad Namah, Sadgure Namah, Siddhi Deva Namah, which is the Mangala Charan, which is a protective mantra. So it protects your home, your space, it protects you, it puts that space around you. And so, yeah, no coincidence there either, by the way, right? Either. There's no coincidence. If you set an intention, you put your focus, and I really didn't have technically a focus. I just said, let's just clear the energy. I had a triple smudging wand, which it was, I think it sweetgrass, sage, and another one. It was 3. And I'm telling you, whenever I smudge or if I put incense, I notice, I watch. I put mantra on. It changes the vibration. It's huge. Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate you. It's huge because you have set the intention just by lighting that flame. See how energy will shift before it actually changes in your physical realm. Just making a conscious effort, a choice, that shifts it right there. So yeah, that was huge. And so like with my small space, I knew, and I had a certain amount of money set aside, and it got pretty much, like I said, I made some bad choices with some people and wasted money and overpaid and underdelivered kind of deal. And so I have a vision for my house and expansion. I really, really miss having a bigger kitchen. I miss having space. It would be obviously more ideal if my kitchen were bigger, because y'all know I love to spend time in my kitchen. I have very limited space to dance around in there too. And so yeah, cramming people in small spaces when you're used to having more spaces and not having personal space is huge. But it's recognizing that it's the adaptability and how you can be flexible and overcome what you're working with and make it a more comfortable, because we can choose to make the best of what we have, or we can ruminate over what we don't have. And so there's that choice and going, okay, you know what? If I'm downsizing, I'm getting rid of things, space will come up, it will open, it will allow whatever it is I want, wish, desire, and need in my life to appear. And so, if anybody out there had known me before, I have not always been so easy to, impose upon, to open my space up to. And so, this has been huge growth for myself. And I'm extremely honored, number one, to be able to do it, humbled because I am doing it. I'm so, so grateful to share, because I feel like personally, I've always wanted to share it with the right person, and to me that's really special in itself. Yeah, so who knows? The kitchen may get renovated and bigger, and who knows? That's my vision. That's what I'd like to see happen. You can all say a little prayer for me. I'd love to see expansion and renovations around the house, get the love shack going, right? It's fun to share space with somebody. It's so much fun to laugh. And sometimes I have those moments where I'm afraid to speak up, because honestly, y'all, when you're so happy in one area, like I was speaking about the other day, you're afraid it'll go away if you ask a question or you try to have a dialogue or a conversation. And so it can be a little bit more than just the self-worthiness, but the fear of, again, it's also the rejection. See, it's self-worth and it's the rejection that you don't want to speak up. You don't want to ask the hard questions, or something that you're afraid the person will reject or push you away, or they'll get upset at you for, because you don't know the other person well enough to dictate. But something in you says, I don't know, they may not like it. So we hold back, and when we hold back, we're holding ourselves back. We're not going to grow. That's where the vulnerability comes, and the need for confrontation or discussion. Then again, not confrontation in a bad way. We're talking about having open communication, conscious communication. Shift happens when you're willing to open yourself to having it happen. It's getting cold out again. I don't know what the heck's going on, but I got chilly. There's a little bit of a fog. That's why it doesn't look so clear out around me. But so yeah, that was kind of something I was kind of reflecting upon today, about how beautiful it is. Yeah, and to have belly laughs. Oh, y'all don't know. The boofers and belly laughs. Yay! I'm really in a serious space of gratitude and appreciation for all that I have. Because you gotta be. So even a little bit, it's just the little things in life. If you could just say, oh, and I got Buddy over here. I got Buddy. He's a sweetie poof. So I just wanted to share that with all of y'all and just plant the seed that, try to focus more on what it is that's going right. Focus more on, the what you desire versus the stuff you don't want. When you go into a relationship, one of the questions, a lot of people will say, well, I'm not going to tolerate this. And that's so ego-based. It's so not in your heart space. It's actually denying yourself the ability to go, this is what I will tolerate. This is what I'd really like to have happen. Because when we say, I will not tolerate, or I won't put up with, or I won't do this, you're putting negating words in there as it is, and that's already in itself opening you up for that whole shitstorm of stuff to happen to you. When we keep repeating the same experiences, it's because something in us is still fixated on it, right? Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Rebecca. So when I found myself in repeated experiences and relationships, I had to go, okay, what is it about me that I keep repeating this? Why am I attracting this? It's not the other person. It really is me. And I knew that. So, yeah. Focus on the appreciation. Visualize what it is you wish to see, experience, and be with. It's so much easier than, it's actually draining. It's energetically draining and exhausting to get caught up in the what you don't want or don't like or dislike. You're dissing yourself. You're dissing your likes. Yeah, I love words. Fun. So I hope you're all having an amazing start to the week. I'm getting chilly. I'm going to have to run Buddy around. Unlike the last few times, I'm like, I got to get home. I got to use the restroom. Getting a little silly. So, yeah, I feel like I was getting my glow on today. And as I was walking down here, I looked up at the sun, and there was a big halo around the sun. So if you did today's rad Kundalini Yoga challenge, I did Gyan Chakra Kriya, which is one of my favorites. It was a lot of this to build your magnetic field and increase your arc line in your aura and draw to you what it is you wish to desire in this world. So I hope that's also going to help. And if you are in a place where things aren't working out the way you'd like them to be, try Kundalini. Try the yoga that I'm offering and guiding you through, because it's changed my life. And it's what's allowed me to hold space for my friends, my family, but to show up for me, shows up for everyone else. And I can't explain it, but the more I do it, this is the kind of thing that happens. I feel more like the clarity. You can't get better clarity than looking within and changing your vibration and just getting the glow, right? Getting the glow. Awesome. Hey, honey, how are you? Thank you, Brandy. So, I'm chilling out over here on the waterfront. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of the evening. I may just do a Monday journal hookup. I haven't done one in a while. Has anybody out there tapped into any of those videos? Because those are some of my favorites to do as well, the Monday night journal hookup. If I do, I want to try to get it around 8 o'clock this evening, Eastern Standard Time. 8 or 9 at the latest. I don't want to be too late tonight. I really need a good night's rest. I just started my moon cycle. I knew it was coming. It would just seem to be a slow progression. And so, yeah, it's basically, if you're unaware of what a hookup is a random opening, and it's a message. You open up a book and you read something and go, that's exactly what I needed to read. That's exactly what I needed to hear. That message speaks to me. And what I do is I open up my journals, and I have several of them over the years, and I read what was going on at the time. So I'm curious what was going on that, at some point on this day or whenever, because it might not be the same day. I don't necessarily choose the same day going back in time. What I like to do is just randomly open up But we'll see what kind of pops in. And at the same time, I also will keep a book. I'll grab another book and open up that and see what message comes through from both of those. And that makes it a lot of fun. It's playful and it's a surprise every time. So I hope you are interested in that. I'm not sure if I'll be on the page, the business page, or in the group, but just stay tuned. Make sure on Ridiculously Authentic in the group and on the page that you have the live notifications set so that you're getting see first all of our notifications. And if you want to see more of these, do the same on my page. Anybody who you ever want to make sure that you're going to see and you don't want to miss anything, make sure you say see first on me, on the page, and in the group, okay? I love you all. Thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate and value each and every one of you. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Brandy. I know there's many more out there. Hi, Sandy, Marlene, and Carla. You're all so beautiful. Hi, Trina. So enjoy the rest of your evening, afternoon. It's kind of afternoon, evening. I'm going to finish walking Buddy, and I'll see you later tonight. So I love you.